G'day guys, welcome back to another round review on the channel. Today I'll be reviewing the interesting and weird events that occurred in the AFL gather round for 2024 that occurred on the weekend. Let's jump straight into the review. It was a very weird round. I just want to quickly point out crazy umpiring decisions, crazy close finishes, and overall just a really weird and kind of shitty round of football. Didn't enjoy gather round really this year, and I'm quite disappointed, and I'm left with wanting more, especially after we almost choked a Hawthorn as well. But I'll get to that later. We'll jump straight into it with the first game. The first game of gather round was in fact Adelaide hosting for Melbourne Thursday night. It was quite a forgettable game, this one. I actually tipped Melbourne by 14 points. The proof's up on your screen now. And they won by 15 points. And they were just the better side in front of goal, really. Adelaide won more of the ball and had more looks inside forward 50. But again, the story of their season, they just can't finish. And they were inaccurate as well, which obviously doesn't help. They had some chances in the first quarter, particularly, and even the fourth. Just couldn't kick straight, and I've watched most of Adelaide's games this year, and boy oh boy have they frustrated me the most out of any side so far. Just so frustrating to watch when they move the ball forward. But credit to Melbourne, they're in really good form, underratedly good form. They've beaten both Adelaide teams in the space of 5 days. That's unbelievable. 2 wins in Adelaide. Over the space of 5 days. That's absolutely phenomenal. Christian Petrarca was absolutely fantastic in this game, led the way. And just a really good performance by Melbourne in gather round. But unfortunately, might have to come at a bit of a cost. Cosy Pickett, 1 game suspension for him. So, that's not ideal, is it? And I guess for Melbourne as well, it's all the pressures on their forward line, kick a big enough score. They didn't actually get a lot of entries, so to kick 78 points was actually decent for them. But Adelaide, so frustrating to watch this year, and now they've got a must-win game, and if they don't win, it's probably season over next week. Now, moving on to the Friday, obviously the double header, and 2 smashings. It wasn't a good start to gather round. First, we had a weird Thursday night game, and then 2 smashings. I didn't watch this game, Brisbane versus North Melbourne. The first, neutral, non-Adelaide team for gather round this season. This one played at Norwood. And for such a small ground as well, Brisbane to kick that big enough a score, especially when they're out of form, it just shows you how bad North Melbourne's defence is and how dismantled they are back there. It's really bad. Obviously Toby Pink was dropped, and they had an undersized defence as well, and that's probably why Danaher and Hipwood got the better of them. But Brisbane, didn't watch them, but from what I told, they were just fantastic in this game. All their midfielders did their job. Hugh McCluggage, Josh Dunkley, Dane Zorko looked back to his best. Lachie Neale had a really good game before being subbed out. So was there anything there? I don't know. I didn't watch the game. Wasn't anything on the highlights, so I don't know if he got injured or not. But something there. At the time I'm recording this, I do not know if he's going to play against Melbourne. Obviously it's a huge game against Melbourne. Now that they've got a good win, 70-point win. I wasn't expecting them to win by that much. Now they've got to prove it against a good side, because North Melbourne, they're not a good side, are they? But Joe Danaher, best on performance, 5 goals, 20 touches, 4 behinds from Joe. So probably could have done better. Hipwood was pretty good, kick 3 out of 5 because he kicked 2 behind. So again, a bit inaccurate. The lines as well, Hipwood and all that. 16 goals, 16. They could have kicked even more, which is really concerning for North Melbourne, especially on such a small ground of Norwood. My big call for this game, I did want to point out, was a really weird one of Cherry and McInerney to combine for 80 or more hitouts. They combined for 75, so I don't know if that's good or not to get that close. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments if you think that's a really good call, and even deserving of a big call, because 80 hitouts in a game is quite a lot. And, you got to take positives for North Melbourne. And a clear positive is the man I just spoke of in Tristan Cherry. He has had a fantastic start to the season. Sure, he didn't get a lot of disposals, but 41 hitouts, that's just unreal. Harry Sheezel again. Charlie Comben played a really good game in his return. And Tom Powell and Davies Uniacke doing, their job in the midfield. Not all doom and gloom for North Melbourne, albeit it is. It just is. Anyways, moving on to the next game. It was Port Adelaide versus Essendon, and wow, oh wow, was this game a disappointment. I was expecting this to be one of the games to gather around, and it's arguably the worst because, 69-point loss. Everything that could have gone wrong on this night for Essendon went wrong. 6 goals. Shocking. They'd been in such good form the start of the season, and that could all be washed down the drain. Albeit Jade Gresham kicked 3 goals, so there's a positive. But yeah, obviously losing by 69 points is obviously the big negative. The other one is Jordan Ridley ruled out for another month or so that's humongous. Reoccurring quad injury. Archie Perkins as well with a hamstring injury. Don't know how long he'll be out for at the time of recording this. Look, doom and gloom for the Bombers at the moment. They've got quite a bit of work to do to respond. Albeit Zach Merritt, what a start to the season from him. He has been probably the best midfielder. 36 touches, his pressure, his game plan development change over the off-season has been unbelievable. So underrated. And Nick Martin as well was absolutely fantastic again the other night. Definitely deserves, a lot of credit at the moment. 35 touches for him as well. Xavier Dersma was another positive. He got plenty of the football. Like I said earlier, Jade Gresham kicking 3 was arguably the big highlight there. But yeah, Port Adelaide, credit to them. They were fantastic. They dominated centre clearance and kicked so many goals from out of there. Connor Rozee, that first half is probably the best individual first half of a player so far this season at the time of recording this. Jason Horne-Francis arguably almost pipped him for that second half because Horne-Francis had a fantastic, phenomenal second half. And they had a phenomenal game, Port Adelaide. Credit to them, they didn't have to, do the Dan Houston after the siren this time, as people will maybe, hinting, and maybe even me as well. I only backed them in to win by 5 points. I think this big win just proves that Port Adelaide should be one of the contenders this season still, in my opinion. Because Junior Rioli as well, just want to touch on his game. He barely even touched it, but every single time it went inside the forward 50, he was damaging and dangerous. What a player. And what a game from Port Adelaide forwards. They all got involved. So, yeah, credit to them. They were really, really impressive. So, yeah, moving on to the Saturday. Now, this is where it gets really, really weird. Obviously, first game, Sydney versus West Coast. Didn't watch it. It was a good, impressive performance, though, by West Coast. I certainly wasn't expecting them to get this close to winning. They were leading at half-time, apparently, so that's an absolute fantastic result for them. Harley Reid kicked his first goal in footy, there's a lot of hype over him. And, West Coast, again, they played well. Some of their stars, Elliot Yeo, Jeremy McGovern. It looks like slowing the ball down and taking the corridor away from Sydney could be the way to go and the way to beat Sydney this year. We saw Richmond do it. And now West Coast tried to do it, and it certainly worked. 26-point loss. They'll take that any day of the week, West Coast. Did still concede 100 points, though. Defence still a bit shaky. Sydney, they've got a bye now, so they can regroup. They weren't that great, though. But still, their forward line is still pretty damaging. Still could score over 100 points. Very, very good for them in a high-scoring game at the Adelaide Hills. Now, moving on to the following game, Fremantle versus Carlton. I just got to say, I was absolutely robbed. I tipped Fremantle, and they should have won. I'm so pissed. I was absolutely fuming. Carlton absolutely stole this one. Freo absolutely robbed. I'm all for it. I was arguably as much pissed as Freo and all their fans. I was barracking so hard for them, cheering so hard when Walters kicked what I thought was the sealer, and then Curnow kicks the goal, and then Cottrell gets the stupid goal that wasn't actually a mark, and then Jordan Clark gives away some stupid descent, and then Kennedy kicks the sealer far out. What a controversial game. A close game, but apart from the final minute, really, it was a pretty shitty game, got to admit. Wasn't a much happening. I was watching the game, but I sort of wasn't as well. That's how bored I was watching this game. And obviously I tipped Fremantle, so I was really, really pissed. And I have to say as well, with my big call, Luke Ryan and Alex Pearce, they had 15 or more intercept marks. That was going to be a crazy big call if I got that right, but I obviously didn't. But I had to mention that, did I? Now, moving on to the next game, the Western Bulldogs, again, arguably robbed against Geelong, because there was a moment in the game where Tyson Stengel took a mark, which was clearly behind the points, and the umpires paid the mark, and he kicked the goal, kicked his third or fourth of the game. He was absolutely phenomenal for the Cats, and you look at the difference in the game, 4 points. So again, there's going to be, I reckon, some umpire clarifications and maybe some rule clarifications this week, because the AFL just simply has to look at it. I mean, Bevo and Chris Scott, after the game, both said, we back the umpires and all their decisions and all that. And JL said the same thing as well after Freo's loss. But yeah, look, tough loss, a bitter one for the Bulldogs. And now they move into a must-win clash against Essendon next Friday night. But all credit to them. Their midfielders, Riley Sanders, he's had a fantastic start to life as a Dog. Treloar, Leber, Bontempelli, they were all fantastic. And Sam Darcy kicked 3 goals in the forward line, and they kicked a big score, the Bulldogs. I've been completely unbullish of the Bulldogs this year. I've been, saying, bottom 6 and all that. Just don't rate them. But that was a good performance against a decent side this year in Geelong, who certainly look like a top 8 contender at the moment, or almost a lock. Stengel kicked 4 goals. Their forward line, it's just finding ways to work, and their midfield as well. In this game, so far this season, they haven't been very good with clearances, but their pressure's been number one. But in this game, their pressure was poor, but their clearance work was absolutely phenomenal. And who cares? Who cares at the end of the day? Geelong got the 4 points by winning by 4 points, so they take it any day of the week. And along with Carlton, I think they're the only team without a loss this season, as well as the Giants. Phenomenal result for Geelong as they head into probably a 5-0 result. Got North next week, so yeah, I think we're all on the same page there. Anyways, moving on to the next game, Gold Coast versus GWS. Now, what a game this one was. High scoring, probably one of the only good games to gather around, really, apart from the other one I mentioned, Bulldogs and Geelong. This one was pretty entertaining. High scoring game, goals galore. Gold Coast impressed me. They played pretty well. But yeah, again, not well enough to win. It's going to be tough for them to beat teams that are probably better than them this year. But, their midfield was fantastic. Their young kids worked well, and Sam Closey and Mac Andrew and Jack Lukosius has moved to defence. Will Graham was good on debut. Jed Walter had some moments. So, yeah, positives for Gold Coast, that's for sure. Especially seeming they've never played at the Adelaide Hills before. Same with GWS, and they were absolutely fantastic, and I knew they would be. I knew this one was going to be a high-scoring game. As I predicted, 15 goals or more would be scored in the first half. Got that one spot on with 15 goals kicked in the first half as my first big call correct of the round. I'll take that any day of the week. Again, GWS, their forward line's fantastic. Riccardi chipped in with 2. Hogan kicked 4. He was very impressive. Probably could have kicked more. Toby Green kicked 5. Got on the end of a few cheap snags. But yeah, it was again fantastic. Callum Brown was absolutely superb as well, particularly in the first half. Kicked 3 goals for the game. So yeah, well done to the Giants. Credit to them. They look like almost the team to beat so far this season. And yeah, another fantastic win in gather round for them. Now, moving on to the next game. Didn't watch it. It was Richmond versus St Kilda at Norwood. I actually did catch the last 5 minutes of the game. And, it was a weird last 5 minutes, that's for sure, with score reviews and all that. Yeah, weird stuff going on with the AFL at the moment. But, look, it was the story of the game, really. I mean, Richmond dominated the first half and St Kilda dominated the second half. Now, Richmond, they haven't had their bye yet. They've played 5 games. I'm going to blame it on running out of legs, because they were absolutely fantastic in this game, Richmond, for majority of the game. Arguably almost deserved to win it, but then again, you look at the scoring shots. Again, St Kilda's inaccuracy almost kicked them out of the game. which was absolutely, it could have been devastating for them back-to-back weeks. But yeah, look, credit to the Saints. Jack Steele was absolutely phenomenal yet again. 131 ranking points. He's just getting better and better at the moment. And credit to Richmond as well. Dusty, they were considering playing him in the forward line, but no, had 30 touches. Maurice Rioli chipped in and kicked 2. Shai Bolton kicked 4, and he's claimed the Norwood pocket now after kicking 3 really good snags and setting up a couple others. He was absolutely phenomenal. Best game of the season for him. And it was a game where not a lot of goals were scored, and I predicted both teams to score under 70 points. That happened. So I'm very, very, very happy with that, and I'll take it. I'm doing very, very well with my Sunday big calls and tips at the moment. But a really good result for St Kilda. A much needed one, that's for sure. And then moving on to the final game, Collingwood versus Hawthorn. Look, we'll take the 4 points, but yeah, Hawthorn, credit to them. They came back in the last quarter thanks to Blake Hardwick, kicking 3 goals in the third quarter and 4 for the game in that second half. Look, we were really, really impressive in the first half. And again, like Richmond, ran out of legs in the second half. Also, Scott Pendlebury got injured in the ribs, and, he's probably going to be out for a couple. But then again, we got the bye, so hopefully he's fit to play against Port. But even then, I feel like Craig McRae might just give him a rest anyway. But yeah, look, Nick Dacos was fantastic. Seemingly got tagged. Darcy Cameron, Mitchell, Josh Dacos, Jordan Agoe. And then our forward line was really, really good in the first half. And look, Hawthorn, credit to them. They've come back twice now to start the season. So, they're showing some really, really good signs. But yeah, they've got a must-win game now, as they are 0-4 against Gold Coast at the People First Stadium next week. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed my round review. Got 8 out of 9 for my tips. Best round so far. Should have gotten 9. Bloody annoying. It's always Carlton, isn't it? Paying the umpires, for sure, mate. And 2 out of 9 for my big calls, both on the Sunday. Definitely take it. Weird round, not a very good one. Seeming it was Gather Round as well, as a neutral, sitting at home, watching it. Not a fan. Probably a bit of a controversial decision, and I might get slammed for it, but I don't really care. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for my round 5 predictions.